Property 360 on Smart 24 television, driving business, and in studio with us is Mr. Birens Wolf to discuss timber as a material for construction. Welcome to the show.
Thank you,
Mr.
Josh.
Birens.
Good evening.
Good evening. How long have you been in Uganda? And how did you come up with the idea of using timber as a material, an exclusive material for construction?
All right. I've been in Uganda in and out for a few years now. First, when I arrived in 2020, I was working on a renewable energy project. 2020? Yes.
Okay.
And before I came to Uganda, I have been a timber engineer and an entrepreneur in sustainable construction in the Netherlands, where I've run a business in timber construction for around 9 years.
Okay.
And while I was living and working in Uganda in 2020, I was already setting up the ambitions for a new company in sustainable timber construction in the Ugandan context. So Easy Housing was conceived in 2020 and this year officially launched in Uganda. But before that I've been working and doing timber structures for quite a while.
A long time.
And I decided that Uganda would also be a good market for affordable, sustainable housing in the form of prefab timber. So that's why I decided to introduce the concept into the Ugandan market.
Okay, so you said sustainable timber construction.
That's right.
What is that?
To be brief, it's a prefabricated timber building technology,
Okay.
which means that we source timber from sustainably managed forests, from Busoga.
Okay.
And at least in Uganda, we source from Busoga Forestry Company, and then we bring that sustainably sourced timber to our workshop,
Okay.
where our building teams prefabricate it, which means that we have high quality control, safety control,
Okay.
and a standardized product, which we can then transport almost finished to sites,
Okay.
where we put everything together for a client, and then within a week or two, the house is basically finished on site. Which allows for fast construction speed, but also for high levels of control in the construction value chain, and many more advantages which we'll touch upon later in the conversation, I'm sure.
Okay. Now, of course, we have so many various types of trees. Is there any particular type you're looking out for?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. When people hear timber construction, they often think that we might be causing deforestation.
Yeah, sure.
That's one of the most common misunderstandings about timber construction.
It's a concern.
It's a very valid concern.
It's a concern. Yes.
And I'm an environmentalist myself, and the last thing I would want to cause is deforestation.
Okay.
So it's important to address that concern. The only timber we use is coming from sustainably managed plantation forests.
Okay.
So the timber we use in Uganda is pine,
Okay.
tropical pine, which is grown in large plantation forests in Busoga district,
Okay.
amongst other districts. And this timber sourcing actually has nothing to do with natural forests. We don't touch natural forests.
Oh, okay.
And actually it's even the other way around, interestingly enough. For timber construction, because we create a demand for the plantation forest and for the sustainable forestry companies, we enable them to do forest conservation and to create green jobs in the sustainable forestry sector. So our timber partners are fully FSC certified, which is like the global certificate for sustainable forestry and timber products. So it takes a bit of understanding to see that using sustainably sourced timber will actually cause more forests to be planted.
Okay.
And all the timber that we use not only drives the local Ugandan economy, also in the rural areas where the forestry is being done, but also helps these companies to grow those forest areas, actually.
Okay. I use in Busoga as a pilot because there are so many other areas around the country where pine is grown. So why Busoga in particular?
Well, the main reason is that Busoga Forestry Company is a subsidiary of Green Resources, which is one of our timber partners, and they are one of the most sustainable forestry companies in East Africa. They operate in Uganda, Tanzania, and Mozambique.
Okay.
And since they have the full FSC certification, as well as very well managed forests, but not only the forests, they also have very modern processing facilities. When it comes to processing the timber, it's not just harvesting the trees in a sustainable way and replanting them. That's the start of the cycle, of course. But it's also making sure that you have proper kiln drying facilities so that the timber is well seasoned, well cured and stable. And then after that, of course, it's processed into beams and planks that we use in our structures. And that timber they then treat in a pressure treatment, which adds a salt solution that protects against termite attack. So basically, that's the reason why we work with this timber partner. It allows us to be sure of the sustainability of the sourcing, the quality of the materials, and the lifespan. And that's why we mainly work together with them. Although there are a few other options and partners in Uganda that we also work with.
Okay.
But this is the most important one.
I mean, with the processes you've mentioned, it sounds expensive, yet you said you want to make housing affordable.
Yes.
As compared to brick and mortar and steel construction, isn't your solution kind of expensive?
Not so much. Actually, what we see now in the Ugandan market is that we can offer our homes, we have various models, for more or less the same price as brick and mortar or traditional construction. And although sustainable timber is an expensive material, an expensive part of our structures, of course, the fact that we have standardized and scalable supply chains and good partnerships with these suppliers, in combination with an efficient production process. When you start producing in a factory or in a big workshop, it allows you to become more efficient when it comes to the speed of production, the labor, and all these things around that. You make less mistakes, so you'll end up wasting less materials or resources. And you see that taking these factors into account, our price level is more or less equal to traditional construction. And in addition to that, I think we have a more resilient supply chain because we source from partners within Uganda. Which also means that we're not so susceptible to external market fluctuations. So we're not suffering from external inflation. While if you look, for example, at cement or steel, you see that these prices have been going up a lot over the past years because of resource scarcity and global market developments. So we have a resilient supply chain. And all that adds up to a sort of predictable and affordable price point. And maybe to just give one example, for our studio homes, like one-bedroom studios, we start from around 32 million for the core and shell.
32 million?
32 million, including taxes.
Okay, is that bed, bedroom, sitting, kitchen, and toilets? And
But it doesn't include the finishings. So that's for the core and shell, and then people can add those options. And basically, if you look at like the fully finished products,
finishings like lighting.
If you add those things, a fully finished house, including electricity, lighting, water, sewage, you'll end up around 40 million.
About 40 million. Okay.
Yes.
Of course, Uganda, being the Uganda we know, our country is so infested with so many termites. And how do you handle that? And how do you help your clients who have already set up to, I know you treat your timber before, okay? Yes. But I mean, in terms of maintenance, do you provide solutions for them?
Absolutely. So I think for any structure that you build, maintenance is critical to ensuring a long lifespan and durability of your structure. What we do for our clients is that we provide them a maintenance manual. Upon project completion, we give the client a document in which they can always read back which maintenance is important and in which intervals to do that.
Okay.
And that, of course, helps to increase the lifespan in any case. But to start with your first question, so the pressure treatment and the salt solution that is already done at the supplier's side is basically a solution that doesn't wear off, so it stays there over time, basically permanently. Okay. And that means that termite attack is actually impossible because the termites will not be able to eat the timber. Okay. So it's very different from timber that you source at the local market, like at the shop in the street where it might have been sawn at a small sawmill without treatment. It's really a different product than that. And I think you have various interesting examples also in Uganda, where old timber structures have been around for decades or even centuries.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the oldest timber structures on Earth are around 1,300 years old. Yeah. And in Uganda, we have a nice example at the Makerere University where...
Even my former school in primary, there's some old buildings that were made out of timber, but they're still there. It's somewhere in Ginger. I'm not mentioned, but they're still there. So in terms of durability, I want to think
they will last, as long as you take care of them.
About fire, I mean, is there anything that you do to help the clients to, because there are so many concerns. Timber is a very good conductor of fire. So how do you help the clients to?
Yes, it's absolutely an important concern, and fire safety is also very important in any building. Okay. When it comes to preventing loss of life due to a fire incident, but also to protect the structure against fire. And interestingly enough, if you look at countries that build a lot with timber, for example, in the United States, around actually most residential buildings are using prefab timber. And the incidence of fire there is actually not bigger than in any other building system. Of course, you have to take precaution measures, like you should not cook on a simple stove inside of the house. Okay. For that, we recommend using like a designated space outside. Okay. We can add cement boards on the veranda to create a fire-safe cooking environment. We add smoke detectors, we add fire extinguishers. But most importantly, it's like preventive measures, like making sure that we use good electricians that install wiring according to all the prescribed norms and procedures to prevent any like short circuits that might cause a fire incident. Okay. So basically, looking at the statistics, timber homes are not really not more prone than normal structures to fire.
What is the biggest project that you've worked on in terms of number of rooms and?
That will be in the Netherlands. And in the Netherlands we have a modular timber building system and a company which I co-founded in 2014, which allows you to build timber apartment blocks, and we're now building an apartment block of I think around 5 stories high.
Oh, really?
And
5?
Yes.
That's big.
That's big,
That's
yeah. And
the purely timber. Of course,
the structure is purely timber except for the connection points which are steel connectors.
Steel connectors. Okay.
To the foundation that is a concrete strip.
Okay. So first floor is steel.
Timber.
Then second floor.
It's only the concrete strip is concrete, and then all of it on top is timber, modular timber. Okay. And that's mass timber, which like in the Netherlands, the building codes are very strict when it comes to fire regulation, acoustics, and so on. So of course there is a lot of engineering that goes into these things to make sure that it complies. Okay. And the interesting thing in Europe is now that also because of our climate ambitions there are many building companies that are now switching to timber building systems, also for high-rise. So 5 stories already sounds impressive, but one of the tallest timber towers in the world is based in Norway, which is a tower of 96 meters high, I believe. 96. Yeah. So and that's a full timber structure, mass timber. So Of course, also complying with all the regulations.
Okay.
And yeah, a lot of the engineering and architecture companies in Europe are also, developing that knowledge.
Okay.
But in Uganda, the biggest structure that we've built is a two-bedroom house in the area of Entebbe.
Okay.
And we have now a few clients that signed up for bigger projects like four-bedroom house near Fort Portal and so on. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, and of course I know there are certain kind of regulations in regards to timber cutting and constructions, and of course, compliance. So, are there any in Uganda any regulations that you need to follow?
Yes.
In terms of cutting and construction?
Also technical details, I would say. When it comes to permit processes, the municipality wants to see that all your your plans and technical details and your design is complying with the building codes.
Okay.
And our system is complying with the international building codes, like the Euro code, which is sort of the general European building code on what buildings have to comply with, and that entails not just timber structures but all types of building materials.
Okay.
And our building system also complies with those regulations. So that means that when a municipality asks for the documentation, we can provide them the structural engineering reports, the technical details, the permit drawings, and then they can go through it, and then once they've checked everything is in order, they will approve the permit and we can start the construction process.
Okay, so let's talk about construction. So, do you also provide the land to your clients, or do they have to?
Normally they provide the land.
They provide the land.
Yeah, regardless whether it's an individual client that maybe has some family land somewhere,
Okay.
or a project developer that wants to develop an estate and wants to use our system on their development. Because land acquisition and land development is a business in itself. So for that we either say, okay, you as a client bring your own piece of land and we can develop that for you, okay. Or it's maybe a commercial partner like a project developer for which we are then
Okay, so
providing the structures.
Okay, and what kind of foundations do you use for construction?
In Uganda we have two
Concrete?
options.
Okay.
One option is concrete blocks, which are more or less this size. These blocks we plot out on the site of the client, and then once the foundation is prepared, the entire timber slab and the timber structure is brought in on a truck in the prefabricated frames, and they're basically screwed and connected together, sitting on top of that concrete foundation block. In Uganda we also have another partner in Gulu called Green Home, who produces our foundation blocks made out of recycled plastic. So they collect plastic waste from the municipality, which is normally not properly disposed of, okay. And they use that plastic instead of cement as a binding agent. So in a few projects we are now doing their recycled plastic foundation blocks, okay. And that also works really well.
Okay, so basically it's not a project that's okay. It has to interdepend on the other materials as well. That is concrete and steel and sheets, okay?
Yes, that's true.
So you can't do purely timber.
For the iron sheets, we use normal bati sheets, okay. Because you want a roof structure to be properly water resistant, rain resistant, of course. And although thatched roof or grass roofs traditionally are also very effective, they require a lot of maintenance, and they also have some other disadvantages, like they're expensive to work with. Okay. So for the roof structure we stick to ordinary sheets. For the foundation blocks we have a few options, and then for the window frames we also use ordinary materials. So
you don't use these other roofing materials, the ones that are baked out of clay?
The roof tiles, yes, we could use them in the future. We haven't done that yet,
okay.
Because of the price is a bit higher.
Okay.
And you need higher...
an element of weight?
Yes, you need stronger roof structures, like on a steeper slope, okay. To accommodate those tiles.
Okay.
But it's definitely something that would be possible in the future.
Okay.
And also and there's an interesting startup in close to Jinja that works with bamboo as a sustainable building material. So they grow bamboo and they process that bamboo into various products like floor planks, but also they're also working on a sort of bamboo roof sheet, which might also be an option in the future.
Yeah. Okay. So how eco-friendly are your solutions?
I would say super eco-friendly.
Let's look at because now we plant forests to try conserve the environment, and we are cutting forests to build. Though you guys do it in a very sustainable way, so aren't we kind of operating within the deforestation means? I mean, towards the environment. That's one. Then two, the structures themselves. How eco-friendly are they?
Okay. Yeah, I can. Let me first dive into the reason why I founded Easy Housing. If you look at the conventional construction sector, then the materials that are most used are cement and steel. And cement and steel both have a huge environmental impact on the environment.
In terms of carbon emission?
In terms of carbon emission, in terms of resources extraction, in terms of environmental pollution. Even in Uganda, you can see cities like Hima that are very polluted because of the cement factory. And for production of cement, vast quantities of energy are required, fossil energy, which then ends up in CO2 emissions. So if you look at the footprint, the impact of the global construction industry, then the CO2 emissions from new constructions sum up to around 11%. All global waste from industry, from the construction industry, causes 30% of all waste, and 50% of all resource extraction is used for the building industry. So those are some of the the numbers that show that the traditional way of construction using cement and steel or bricks is simply something we cannot keep doing. It's not only the carbon emissions, but it's also the local environmental impact, resource depletion, and also health and safety risks that go with that. And sustainably sourced timber is a very good alternative to that, next to other bio-based materials and other sustainable construction technologies. So that also relates to your other question. The deforestation in Uganda is unrelated to timber construction and is mainly caused by the charcoal production and the fact that people are still heavily depending on charcoal for cooking and also normal firewood, which is sourced in not sustainable and non-controlled ways. Another reason is like agricultural land use that causes deforestation, for example, for cattle keeping. And of course, another driver for deforestation is what you see happening in the Congo Basin, is that tropical hardwoods are illegally harvested and illegally exported to Asia, for example. And that timber is being sourced from natural forests. So that's one of the reasons that the Congo Basin, the Congo forests are being depleted. So that is a very different driver of deforestation as compared to sustainable plantation forests. And these sustainable forestry companies are actually the guardians or the custodians of these forests that they have. So before they came in, there was no forest, it was agricultural land. And the reason that there is demand for their product allowed them or gave them the financial means to do a lot of planting. So, for example, Busoga Forestry Company has planted, I think, over 15,000 hectares of forest, which were not there before.
We shall take a break, and when we come back, Mr. Behrens will give us more on timber construction. We are coming to you live at Skies Hotel, Naguru. Please visit them this holiday season for the best Christmas packages, DAB discounts on standard rooms. Come for a 5-star rating. Property 360 on Smart 24 television, driving business.